You good? We're good? Good evening, Ms. Goins. Sorry, I was live, wasn't I? Forgive me. Good evening, everyone. It is 7:01 on the 18th of October. Good evening. My name is Robert Cagnetta, and this is a meeting of the South Kingstown, Rhode Island Zoning Board of Review. Members present tonight are Mr. Daniels, our Vice Chairman, Bill Rosen, Arlene Hicks, and Kevin Pellissier. Also present are Amy Goins, the South Kingstown Special Legal Counsel, Jamie Gorman, the South Kingstown Building Zoning Official, and Ms. Spence is off tonight. This board is made up of 7 people, where 5 are regular voting members, but only 4 are required to be present to vote. In the event that there are fewer than 4, an alternate will step in. No more than 5 members are entitled to a vote. So I believe we're going to have a recusal tonight, which still means that we'll be able to vote with only 4 members. Applicants are here either for a variance, either dimensional or a use, or to seek a special use permit. This board is a quasi-judicial body created by the South Kingstown Ordinance pursuant to state statutes. We don't follow strict rules of evidence, and we operate in what we believe to be in a fair and equitable manner. We try to let everyone speak unless you get carried away or it's determined not to be relevant. So in the interest of time, just try to be on point and be brief. We do our best not to argue, and we want to keep things civil, and we try to have our last petition start by around 10. When your petition is called, please come forward and speak clearly into the microphone. You'll be asked to state your name and spell it for the record, and then you'll take an oath to tell the truth. The applicant will then present the petition along with any other witnesses to testify in support, with the board asking a lot of questions. After the applicant has presented their testimony, the board will seek public testimony either in support or opposition. You'll be asked to come forward, state and spell your name, be sworn in, and present testimony, again, followed up by board questions. So any questions or comments to the applicant or other witnesses, make them through the board. So just ask us if you want to ask anybody else that's kind of come up and said something. And then we'll allow the applicant to respond after the comment period. After all the testimony and before the vote is taken, the board will openly discuss the application and the evidence presented. Variances and special use permits require at least 3 voting members to vote in favor of the petition to grant its relief. Again, regardless of it's 4 or 5, it only takes 3. So board members ask a lot of questions, and there's a good reason. We cannot grant anything we choose. We follow rules per our South Kingstown ordinance, so you must give testimony to support certain facts to allow your request to be approved. You're either here for a dimensional variance or a special use permit, which we have that as well as an appeal. But for a variance, you must offer evidence to the board setting forth the following: that the hardship is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land or structure and is not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area. The hardship is not the result of any prior action on your part, and that the granting of the variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area, and that the relief requested is the least relief necessary, and that you must also show that the hardship that will be suffered if the variance is not granted will amount to more than a mere inconvenience. For a special use permit, you must present the following: that your special use permit is you're requesting is authorized by our zoning ordinance. So somewhere in our zoning ordinance, it has to be authorized, or we do not have the power to grant it. Special use request that has to meet all of the criteria set forth in the zoning ordinance authorizing such special use, and that the granting of the special use permit will not alter the general characteristic of the surrounding area or impair the purpose or intent of the zoning ordinance. So I believe that's that. Tonight, we have, we're going to call up Cottrell Homestead first. Is there someone here for that petition for Cottrell? No? Okay. Mr. Gorman, do we have a correspondence requesting the extension? Is there official submittal?
So I do have an email from Attorney Stephen Serda. I can read it.
Please.
Good afternoon. I am going to take over, enter on this matter for the late Matt Callahan. Unfortunately, I was only just able to connect with the parties yesterday and have to respectfully request that this matter be continued based upon just becoming involved in this matter. I believe I can attend tonight's meeting to make this request in person as well. Signed, Stephen Serda, attorney.
And he said by next month, he should be okay by November?
He didn't state, but
State.
I would
We
expect.
can make that assumption, assuming they're on the agenda, and then if we have to kick it another month, we still can. Ms. Goins, is there a limit, or do we need any particular reasons why?
No, I don't think in this case, especially where the continuation is because of the passing of the applicants.
In that case, of course, but it seems like they can ask for as many as they want, right?
Within reason.
All right, and what, do you know the date of our November offhand? 15th. November 15th? That early?
November 15th, correct?
Getting earlier and earlier, really. I feel like this one.
The week before Thanksgiving.
Ah, okay, fair. Yeah, we can't do it then. People get sour. Okay, so we have, so we'll consider it a request for a continuance till November 15th for Cottrell Homestead. Is there anyone here for this matter? You guys are? Okay, could you guys make it here next month for that? Sorry about that. I think, if they're going to speak, I should have them come up, or no?
Take public comment at this point. I would just note for the neighbors here and anyone interested, the continuance, I believe there was one continuance originally requested by the late Attorney Callahan. So that's one reason for the delay, and then, of course, his passing. We don't have anything to suggest that any of the continuances are to deliberately delay the matter.
No. I mean,
Happened to be he wasn't originally available when it was first scheduled. Their office was busy. They had conflicts, and then unfortunately he passed away. And their new substitute counsel has just recently entered.
So, so that's kind of why we're doing it for next month. I apologize. I think it's something we didn't find out until
This afternoon.
So this afternoon we find that out. So I apologize that we couldn't have posted that sooner. Okay, so does anybody have any issue with continuing this Cottrell Homestead until November 15th? Okay, I'll make that motion. Someone want a second? Second by Mr. Daniels. Could we just do a voice? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, very good. Thank you. So now we'll hear the petition of Kingston Turf Farms Realty LLC. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is the petition of the Kingston Turf Farms Realty LLC at 3720 South County Trail, West Kingston, Rhode Island, 029-892, for a one-year extension of a special use permit, which was previously granted on December 21st, 2022, and recorded in South Kingstown Land Evidence on January 9th, 2023, Book 1849, and pages 191 through 192, under South Kingstown Zoning Ordinance, Section 203, Special Use Permit for Addition, Enlargement, Expansion, and Intensification, and 907 are standards of relief. A one-year extension is allowed under the Zoning Ordinance, Section 910A, one-year time limit and one-year extension. Owner of the property is Kingston Turf Farms Realty, LLC, for premises located at 84A Barbers Pond Road, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 8, Lot 1, and is zoned R200. For this, we have the extension request dated September 7th, 2023. We have the recorded zoning decision, which is 2 pages, granted December 21st, 2022, and recorded in the South Kingstown Land Evidence Book 1849 in pages 191 and 192. Is someone here for this petition? Okay. You wanted to speak in regards, so come on up. Are you representing them? Or you're a butter? Okay, so come on up. And please state your name and spell it.
My name is Gerald Zarella. Spelling is Zarrella.
And do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So what would you like to, what do you have to say?
We've asked for that extension because we had to get an ISTS, and we just got it approved yesterday. So we'll be applying for a building permit for that. It took a long time to get that.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Okay. Okay. Sounds fair. Anything else you want
Well,
to?
that would be it. Thank you.
And you're asking for a year, correct?
We're asking for a year, but hopefully we'll get a building permit within the next month or so.
Fantastic. So a year's enough.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Zarella? No?
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone out there want to speak on behalf of this? No? Sorry? Yeah, on behalf of. Not to make it all negative. I'm kidding. Okay, we have the request letter here. Anybody have any issue with the extending it? It seems reasonable, especially since they was approved yesterday. I think just with this, is there anything special we have to say to it when it starts and stops and so forth?
You just need to find cause for the extension, and the decision was recorded in January 2023, so the expiration before the extension is January 2024, so if you grant them an extra year, they'll have until January 2025 to exercise the permission. January 9th, 2025 will be the new expiration.
All right, yeah, because 2024 isn't far away now, is it? That's how these numbers work. Okay, so, all right, so anyone want to make a motion, or? Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This motion to extend the petition of the Kingston Turf Farms Realty LLC, the one-year extension. The original decision was granted in January of 2023. It expires in January of 2024, and this is a motion to extend that extension due to some unique circumstances regarding the ISDS approval. And therefore, this would extend the decision to January of 2025, and I move that we grant.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Rosen. Any other discussion? Mr. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Rosen?
Aye.
Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. Peltier?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. So, good luck. So next we have the petition of Deborah Zarella, which is 20 Gerard's Farm Drive, Exeter, Rhode Island, 02822 for a special use permit under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to remove the existing decks and construct a 200 square foot deck attached to the cottage. The applicant is also seeking to construct a 4-foot by 8-foot addition to be utilized for storage. The lot size is 50.2 acres. Special use permit is required per the zoning ordinance, section 203, special use permit for addition, enlargement, expansion, or intensification. Section 608, our coastal community overlay district, and section 907, our standards of relief. The owner of the cottage, 9WC1? Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. The owner of the 9WC1 is Gerard L. Zarella et al. On property owned by Matunic Beach Properties, Inc., located at 240 Cards Pond Road, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 92-1, Lot 9-326, and is zoned R200. For this petition, We have, what's the correspondence? Yes. The application signed and dated September 7th, 2023. Notarized owner authorization form signed and dated September 9th, 2023. Email regarding transfer of ownership dated September 8th, 2023. Construction drawings 01A1, P1, P2 showing as built and proposed. 3 pages prepared by Zarella Development Corp. And dated September 8th, 2023. 200-foot, 200-foot butters list, legal notices, and notarized affidavit of mailing. Okay, and so Ms. Hicks is going to recuse herself. Did she have to sign something or submit? She did, okay. Okay, and is someone here tonight for this petition?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. And your name is?
I'm Deborah Zarella, Zarrella.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Excellent. So tell us what you'd like to do.
So what I'd like to do is, if you look at the as-built and the proposed, you'll see at the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see where there's an 8-foot section that's just lawn right now. And then we just want to enclose that into a storage space, entering from the outside. And then on the left-hand side of the original 28 by 20 perimeter, on the left-hand side of it, where you see the front steps, we want to put a 4-foot by 20-foot addition on. And the total amount of interior square footage that we're adding is 128 square feet. We're going to take off the existing decks and stairs, and we're going to add a total of 200 square feet of new deck to it, and just redo the inside, and that should be all.
Okay. So, I didn't add it all up here. So is your proposed going out farther in the front than the deck is now?
Well, no. However, you'll see where, let me just see, 28 plus 14. I think what I did was draw right to the, not beyond the 14.4, if you see that on the as-built, so just let me add that up. It's been a little bit since I did this. 32, yeah. So if you look at the as-built, it's 28 feet plus 14.4 is the present deck, and then, yeah, so maybe it does go out a little bit further, but it shouldn't. Let me see, 28 plus 14 is 32 feet.
40.
Yeah, so so you'll see on the 32 feet is where the addition stops.
So right now it's about 14 and 28, so 42 feet out right now to the edge of the deck? 42 feet.
The
and 3
proposed
inches?
is 40 feet to the edge of the deck. Is 40 feet.
Including the stairs? Is what you're saying?
No, I did not include the stairs, because I don't know really how many stairs there's going to be.
Well, because then the proposed is 40.
It's
right?
40, including the exterior deck.
Okay.
The
So,
original was 32.
no, wait, you have 28 and 14, which would give you 42. So in fact, you're a little bit, you're taking up a little less space.
Okay, maybe my adding was wrong here.
It's all right. No.
I was
I'm-
going to
I'm
bring my
checking myself,
calculator up,
too.
but I didn't.
I think, right?
So 8, 19, 11, 12.
So we're
2,
at about
3, 4.
42,
Yeah, so
3 inch.
42, yeah, that's what I thought. I
And
didn't
so
I
you're
didn't
asking for
intend to
40.
go beyond what was there now, so.
And then on the, I'll call it the bottom right. I don't know the orientation.
Yeah,
The bottom right, you're just squaring off the house,
exactly.
and you're not going out any farther on the bottom side there?
No. Nope,
Moving the stairs? Okay.
that's it.
So
So I basically just squared up the building from all the jigs and jogs there is presently.
Right, and now, relative to your site plan? Okay, so you have the field behind you, but you're not going closer to the field. In fact, you're coming back a little bit. Side neighbor is still the 18 feet and 16 feet to the road.
That's correct. In fact, I even took a stairway off of there.
Right, all right.
And we didn't do anything to the west side neighbor or the road side. We didn't do anything.
And we don't need to count the stairs coming off the deck, or do we need to count the stairs?
With regard to the separation, or
Well, because she has on the dimensions, the 32 feet for the building, 8 feet for the deck, but doesn't have the stairs. So should we include the stairs?
well, it's exempt, the stairs to the cottage are exempt from the calculation, yeah.
And when when I calculated the 200 square feet of deck, it did not include the stairs, but,
Doesn't have to.
yeah. And then the interior space was a total of 128.
128 you're adding.
Yes.
And how much was it to start with? No, 20 by 28.
Where?
That should be easy math. So that is what, 560? Somewhere around there.
I believe.
Is it? I didn't want to like use my fingers. It would really be bad. So, okay, so you're under the 50% expansion.
Yeah. In fact, I could have gone on the, I had more to go, but I didn't go.
You had a little bit more.
Yeah,
Okay.
60 or so.
Well,
square
you still
feet.
can at this
Yeah.
point, right? In another application. Okay, anything else you want to add?
I don't think so, unless you have any questions.
Well, board members, any questions for the applicant?
I have none.
Nope. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here for this petition? Nope. Okay. It all seems reasonable. It sort of checks all the boxes of our concerns about access to the buildings surrounding it, proximity to other buildings.
The dimensions don't change between neighbors,
Yeah. And especially the front too, so it's a nice change, so. Anyone want to give it a shot? Wow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Motion to approve the special use permit for Deborah Zarella of Exeter. The property is located in Matunic Beach Properties. They're the owner of the property. A special use permit is required under the zoning ordinance, Section 203 and Section 608, which, because this is a coastal community overlay district, and any changes, additions, or modifications require a special use permit in this zone. Ms. Deborah Zarella, the owner, spoke at the hearing in support of the request. There was no opposition. The materials were entered into the record earlier by the chairman, and the board finds that the special use permit is specifically authorized by the ordinance because it does spell out special use permit in the coastal community area, and this is not uncommon in the Matunic Beach property location. The board finds that the special use meets all of the criteria set forth in this subsection of the ordinance. Once again, because it's a straightforward request to enlarge an existing cottage, and that is allowed in the ordinance with a special use permit. The board finds that the granting of the special use permit will not alter the general characteristic of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the ordinance or the comprehensive plan of the town. In doing so, the board has considered whether or not satisfactory provisions and arrangements have been made or will be made concerning, but not limited to, the following. There's no issue with ingress and egress. What we're doing is basically adding a deck to the existing structure of 200 square feet and squaring off the, I guess that's the front of the existing structure and changing the ingress, the stairway to get into the cottage. There's no issues with off-street parking and loading. There's nothing that's required there. Trash storage and delivery areas have already been established in this particular location. There's no change. Utilities are all available in this community, and there's no need to address that. There's no screening and buffering necessary. And I would point out that the sidelines, north, south, east, and west remain as is. There's no encroachment into those areas that exist with the present structure. The general, certainly compatible, this request application is certainly compatible with lots in the same or abutting zoning districts because, once again, this is a coastal community where there are a number of cottages. They're all essentially on one 50-plus acre lot, and they're very, very similar. Many of them have been moved. Many of them have been reconstructed and modified, and this owner, that's what this owner is requesting, simply to make it a little more accessible for her living, for her family. And with that, I would move that we approve the special use permit, and there are no conditions to be attached to it.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rosen. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Daniels? Mr. Rosen?
Aye.
Mr. Pelletier?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta, aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Welcome. Enjoy the night. All right. So lastly, we have the petition of Davitt Design of 4 Frank Avenue, West Kingstown, Rhode Island, 02892, for a dimensional variance under the zoning ordinance as follows. The applicant is seeking to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a 3-story single-family dwelling located 10 foot 8 inches from the property line. The required front yard setback is 25 feet. Therefore, a relief of 14.2 feet is requested. The dwelling will also be located 8.7 feet from the west side property line. The required yard setback is 12 feet. Therefore, a relief of 3.3 feet is requested. The proposed building lot coverage will be 26%. The maximum allowed is 25%. Therefore, relief of 1% is requested. The proposed gross floor area, GFA, of the dwelling will be 2385 square feet. The maximum allowed is 1,900. Therefore, a relief of 485 square feet is requested. The lot size is 0.16 acres. Dimensional variance is required per the zoning ordinance, sections 207, non-conforming lots of record, building setback requirements, section 401, schedule of dimensional regulations, section 601, special flood hazard area overlay district, and section 907, standards of relief. The owner of the property is Davitt Properties for premises located at 175 Middlebridge Road, South Kingstown, Assessors Map 43-4, Lot 4, and is zoned R20. For this application, we have the application signed and dated September 15th, notarized owner authorization form signed and dated September 15th, CRMC plan, 1 page, prepared by Dowdell Engineering and stamped by Mark L. Dowdell, P.E., and dated May 4th, with revisions on September 8th. September 14th. The plan set prepared by Davitt Design Build, which is A0.0, A1.1, A1.2, A2.1, A2.2, A31, S1, and S11 and S21, an email correspondence between Kevin Flynn and Tracy Sylvia from CRMC, which is 3 pages, zoning decision, which is 3 pages, granted on May 17th of this year, and recorded in the South Kingstown Land Evidence 1857 and page 342, 343. Comparison table, which is 1 page, CRMC CERC plans, Vision 1 and Vision 2, which is 2 pages, prepared by Dowdell Engineering and stamped by Mark L. Dowdell, P.E., dated January 5th, 2022. Plot plan, one page, prepared and stamped by Richard L. Kuchon, PLS, dated July 26th of, probably the wrong date because it says 2026, and revised on September 18th, 2023. 200-foot abutters list, legal notices, and notarized affidavit of mailing, and then there's a correspondence between Joanne Fitzpatrick of 200 Middlebridge Road. Good evening. Good evening, how are you?
Good. Jack McGreen for the applicant with law offices at 21 Garden City Drive, Cranston, Rhode Island. The applicant and the owner of the property is David Properties, as you said. Property is identified as Tax Assessors Plat 43-4, Lot 4, and is located at 175 Middlebridge Road. The lot is a legal non-conforming lot in an R20 zone and contains 6,335 square feet. As you may recall, the board granted approval to the applicant to construct a three-story dwelling on the premises and gave us front yard relief of 4.9 feet. I would like to know for the record that that decision actually says you gave us 25 feet. I think they probably copied we amended our application,
Okay,
as you recall.
right,
And we came back a third time.
that's right.
I think
Took
it
off some
says-
stairs and so.
It says it's giving us 25 feet of relief from the front. And I think we were only looking for 4.9 at that time.
I see, okay.
So just to note that for the record.
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe the original, it was
It was 25.
it was amended when it was continued.
Yeah,
from
we
the-
amended the application, but I think when the decision was written, they probably referred to the original.
The original advertisement legal notice.
We weren't going to just take the 25, that's why we're back here.
Yeah.
so is that, do we have to,
We'll work with Jess to issue a corrective decision, just to correct
I just-
what's recorded, no matter what happens tonight.
okay, right, sorry about that.
So again, you gave the applicant relief to 4.9 feet of relief from the front, and side yard relief of 8.7 feet, and you also gave us 485 square feet off the floor area ratio. Applicant went to CRMC, and CRMC now requires that the house be moved further away from the coastal feature by 9.3 feet, which now requires us to request 4.2 feet of relief from the front yard setback rather than the original 4.9 feet that you gave to us back in May of this year. As before, the applicant is seeking to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a three-story dwelling. And because of the lot's legal nonconformity with the current zoning regulations and the lot's proximity to the Narrow River, the applicant is also seeking a 3.3-foot relief from the left side setback. That's the same as before. And the applicant is seeking the 485 square feet of relief from the gross floor area limitation of 1,900 square feet. I have Dave Whitney to walk you through the plan one more time. Plan has not changed from the last time. All we're doing is moving it back 9.3 feet so that CRMC, they've given us the approval, so assuming if we were to get the additional 9.3 feet, then CRMC would sign off. I think they point that out in the letter. So Dave, you come up here. I know the last time we had concern about parking, sightline access along the street, and so maybe, Dave, you could address those items along with what CRMC said, and then answer any of the questions that the board may have. You can have a sweet yourself in.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Well, they need CRMC approval to go forward, and I reviewed, it looks like it was correspondence with one of their staff. And so I think, and tell me if I'm misunderstanding, one option would have been for them to push CRMC to approve what this board approved back in May, but staff told them, we're not going to support that. So instead, they're coming back to this board to see if you'll approve the design that CRMC had suggested that I'm sorry, you actually got the approval. CRMC has approved the revised design that we're seeing tonight?
They have said that they will support.
Okay, yeah,
They
that's,
have not given, we have to take this and go back.
this would, this would take the place of the decision that, yeah, so, okay.
Thank you. Good evening, and please state and spell your name.
David Whitney, Whitney, and I'm here on behalf of Davitt Properties.
And you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes. So as far as the plan goes, nothing has changed since the plan is the exact same that we presented back in May. The plan that we presented in April, we had heard concerns about parking and sight lines. So what we came back to the board with, and after our first meeting in April, we came back in May, we pushed the house back, I think we pushed the house back 20 feet at that point. We removed a set of stairs to access the front door, and we added additional parking. So from the existing house that is there now, there's one spot on the outside for parking, and there's one interior space. So we had added 4 parking spaces on the outside and then 2 on the inside. By moving the house forward an additional 9 feet, that does not affect the parking. So we are still able to add 4 additional parking spots on the outside and then 2 on the inside for a total of 6 parking spots. The only access to the first floor, which looks kind of like the second floor because it's 13 feet in the air for the first floor.
Living floor.
Yeah, so the only access to that is through an interior staircase. So that plan has not changed. So the discussion with CRMC was we pushed it kind of too far back into their 50-foot setback. So they requested us, and we're trying to just find the middle ground here between what
So-
they will approve and what the town. So,
I don't mean to interrupt you, so.
nope, all good.
So you mentioned everything would just kind of move forward, so the site plan kind of shows the cars cut halfway through, meaning that the property line is halfway through the cars when they're parked?
That is correct. So by moving this house forward 9 feet from what was previously approved in May,
Right.
we are not bringing the proposed structure any closer to the road than the existing structure that is there. So the existing structure is 11 feet off of the property line. Actually, with the stairs, it's 5 feet off of the property line, and those stairs are going away. So the existing conditions, the existing 1 parking space, yes, the property line would cut through the existing 1 parking space that is there.
And that is the crosshatch, not really crosshatch, the diagonal outline on the plan here? Is sort of that square that's on there where the first car is the original footprint or the existing footprint? Is that right? Yes, that is correct. So you see what I'm talking about? Yeah, it goes halfway through that deck?
That is the existing house, that is correct.
Okay, so then you're saying that front line is you're pretty much or on that line? You're is it moving 5 inches forward or is it?
We're moving it 1 inch back from the existing front of the house.
So you're 1 inch farther away than existing?
Exactly, yes. And I will mention that the existing house, the depth of that house is 32.5 feet. And when we redesigned the house from our April meeting to the May meeting,
Yep.
we redesigned this house for a 27-foot depth. So we've shrunk 5.5 feet from the existing house that is there now to what we are proposing. So we shrunk the house from a depth perspective so that, because we know we're in between the front line setback and we're between coastal zone, so.
And you stretched it out a little bit, the house?
And we're kind of within the sideline setbacks with the exception of the mechanical deck on the left-hand side.
And that's what you're asking for on that side is a mechanical deck?
Correct, yeah. Mechanicals
Easement?
have to be above the floodplain.
Right. And since it's an overhang, it's technically still within the property, it's still considered part of the structure.
That's
Or it's not a decorative, you said it's, what, 16 or 18 inches you're allowed with the roof?
1 foot architectural projection is what you're allowed, so it's beyond that.
Does that make sense to you guys? You know what I mean by that? So, footprint-wise, existing to proposed, how much is that changing? Like, what's the existing square footage?
It's a reduction of the existing footprint to our proposed by 50 square feet. So
By
the
50.
The existing footprint is 1,400 square feet. We are proposing 1,350 square feet of overall footprint.
Overall, including the carport that's on that first floor and all that? Or on
Everything
the
that's,
ground?
everything that's existing right now to what is proposed is an overall reduction in footprint.
So your extension to the sides is not adding, is still shorter, still less volume than you're proposing? Okay. Obviously, the height's going up, but it's within the height. So this existing building was, setback was already not in compliance. It was already oversized, the house, for its property, relative to what the code is. Okay. How about drainage and on-site collection of water systems and so forth?
So there's nothing existing on site right now. So we've got 2 drainage infiltration trenches proposed here. That will be, during the build, that will be, we'll have an engineer do the runoff calculations, and then that will be, all the water will be held to this site.
On the sides of the house, that is, right? And the back, do you have a septic there, or is it town?
That's town sewer.
Town sewer, okay.
I think our previous application, we were seeking relief for a rear and a side yard setback. And by pushing it up by 9 feet, we do not need the relief on the back and the side yard.
Because as we're looking at, there's that other dashed line that goes directly through the middle of the house. Oh, I see, so you're actually setting the house on the setback of the west side there. But the utility is going over. Service, what are you calling that, service deck?
There's a deck out the back.
Right, no, what do you call it?
Or
Service?
the mechanical deck.
Mechanical deck, sorry, yep.
Yeah, I think it's what, 4 feet, Jamie?
I'm sorry?
4 foot?
Let me pull it up here.
4 foot. So the actual house itself is within the setback.
Right,
It's just the mechanical overhang that
mechanical overhead.
puts us into that 3 foot.
And is there anyone on that side, living on that side, or is that's, who owns that property to the west of you guys?
Yes, there is somebody on that side.
There is somebody on that side, that is a lot. And the units you're putting on there are what, air handlers?
Those
Or
would be just the
compressors?
The air conditioning, yes.
Just the compressors? And they're getting quieter and quieter, right? Okay, I've asked a lot. You guys have questions? Mr. Daniels?
What is the, what would you estimate the net reduction in square footage in the setback area as a result of this plan? How much you back out?
For CRMC?
Yes.
I thought, this is off the top of my head, I thought our proposed was 300 square feet of living space was within their jurisdiction. Now, it's just a tiny, I think it's 80 square feet right now, which is
And it is,
more than what's existing.
and it's your testimony that will be acceptable or is acceptable to CRMC?
Yes, so I think we have an email in our application that says they would
Okay,
be agreeable to this.
okay.
Approved it, but we got to get the next step.
Is that it, Mr. Daniels?
For now, yes.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions, board members? Mr. Rosen?
Let me just get this straight with respect to CRMC. You don't have approval yet,
Not official approval, no.
so we can make that a consideration associated.
Usually it's a contingent.
You did it last time as well.
Yeah.
Oh, did we last time? Okay, okay. But they have indicated, unlike in the email that we got, that they are willing to go along with this now.
Correct, yes.
Okay. The square footage of the house is going to be exactly the same as the second revision that we approved,
Correct, yep.
within 2 feet, as I remember. One was 23,
Yeah, it's 2350 square feet.
2343 and 2345 or something like that.
Reduced it by 350 square feet from the first revision to the second revision. There's been no architectural floor plan changes, so we're just moving the house at this point.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Daniels was showing me the site plan relative to the proximity to the neighbor. So, or it's not the site plan, it's the GIS, rather.
And we did center the house on the lot from what is existing now, so I think
Wow.
we're 2 feet off of the property line now, and we're moving the house 12 to 12 feet
Right.
with mechanical overhang.
And we know these GIS, I think we talked about it last time, they could be off, what, 4 or 5 feet? Something like that?
The 10.
Up to 10 feet.
There is an improvement off of the left-hand property line.
Right, but they're pretty close. I don't, on your survey, I don't think you had the adjacent home, but that.
What are we looking at right here?
175.
175, that's the house we're looking at, and to the west is
185.
185. And that house to the west is 3 stories, correct?
185?
Yeah.
It's 2 stories. I don't know if
It's not a flood.
I don't know if it's to the floodplain.
I mean, it looks like it's going to be as tall as,
It's that one. Okay. It's about, oh,
Yeah, our first floor will be higher than that.
right. And total roof plane will probably be higher too. That's a pretty steep roof, but yours probably would be a little taller.
okay.
It's really close.
So yeah, you can see where the parking is now. So if you put a car in the middle of that existing pad, it will be halfway through the property line.
So really, the property line is kind of almost where the sign is, the inside post of the sign.
So you
Or the
still have
edge
some
of the-
clearance before Middlebridge Road.
So the edge of that concrete basically is, yep. I'm sorry, Google is taking pictures like every month, it seems now. Because now I use it a lot, and it's September 2023. I mean, you guys, how long has your sign been up there? And it's already there. They're watching. Okay. Mr. Rosen, you all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, board members? You guys have anything else to add at this time? Good, thank you. Thank you. Okay, anyone in the audience want to speak for or against? There you go. Come on up. Good evening.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
And you are?
Lauren Daly, D-A-L-E-Y. I live at 185.
You're at 185. Okay,
Yep.
and you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Excellent. So tell us what's on your mind.
I think it's important to ask a question about, have they included the concrete pad at the back of the house in their square footage?
Typically, no. If there's not a structure on it, hardscape isn't considered part of the structure, part of the permit, building permit.
Okay.
It is, I believe, and we could check with them, but I think hardscape might have some consideration to CRMC as to how much impervious versus pervious soil, like they can have on the site. So they can't just sort of pave the whole thing.
Okay.
But we can ask them that.
All right. And also the structure that is on the left side of 175
Yep.
is a garage
Right now?
right now.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about they're going to build right at that line, there goes my privacy. Right now, I've got, privacy from my bedroom. I think they propose to put a bathroom right where my bedroom window is.
Okay.
If they're going 3 feet closer than the existing house, that's right at the level of all of my windows, so I would lose privacy, I would lose light,
Right.
especially in the wintertime. I'm going to lose my view.
So the house right now, what they're proposing, the house is going to be right on the setback line.
Yeah,
It's the mechanicals that are going to be over.
yeah, I'm going to hear those, but I'm talking about that now there's going to be windows right at my window.
Right, and they're allowed to build on that line technically. It's just that the mechanical part, they're asking for the relief for.
Okay.
So the house, they can build that house at that line technically, which would still be as close to what
Which is really
they're
close.
proposing. Well, that's the setback is, I believe for that side, is it the 12 feet setback on that side? So the 12 feet is what they're allowed, and 12 feet is kind of where the house is.
Okay,
So, we couldn't really ask them to go any farther away from that, because they're allowed to be 12 feet technically.
okay, so why can't they put the utilities and all of that stuff where there's nobody's bedroom window?
We can ask that, and see if they can move with the mechanicals, because that's certainly reasonable. Okay? But yeah, unfortunately, the house does get taller, and there is more use on that side of the building than there is now. But they're kind of allowed to go up where they're going up, unfortunately.
And also the car issue, it's still going to be,
The car,
yeah, the car, the whatever,
the stick,
pad that the parking pad, that's still an issue.
meaning that, like, right now, it's an issue, and it
The proposed,
sounds like the proposed is pretty much where it is now.
yeah, but there aren't 6 cars. You know, it's
Right.
designed for, one,
One outside,
yeah.
right,
So not, like when they have visitors, when there's 4 people that live there and they all have cars.
right.
That's still going to be a lot of cars for a busy road and the line of sight where my kids catch the school bus, and that's still going to be an issue.
Right, but because right now, it's not going any closer, like, it's not any closer to the street. But you're saying it's not good for it to be that close?
Yeah, it's still, it's
It's still too close.
too many cars, and yeah, it's dangerous.
Do you guys have, where do you guys park? On,
In our driveway,
okay. And everything kind of fits?
Yep. yeah. You can see there's our driveway. It's 2 cars. Or we park in Lafayette Street.
Or you park, okay. I mean, it seems,
See, the angle of our house and the way that the street goes, our cars are further back from the road than their proposed parking pad.
okay. They seem pretty close to each other already. I mean, it's a tight, like, this, like, nobody's house seems to be appropriate down there.
I mean, that was the whole point of the first plan, and you had said that, it's not conducive with the houses that are in that area.
Well, meaning that even the houses that are there don't fit, like, technically your house is not in compliance as well. Like, because you're right on the property line. Like, you're not 12 feet away from the property line.
Well, that was the existing property, we just went up 1 story.
Right, right. So, I mean, that's why they're saying that they're going to just kind of go up from where they are relatively. So it's a very difficult neighborhood, I understand. And they can build something there, and they can build it as tall as they're building it. It's just, what is it that we should, sort of grant for
Well,
them to be able to build something there?
honestly, it should have been smaller.
It should be smaller.
Yeah, it should be smaller.
a smaller footprint?
Smaller height, smaller footprint.
Well, the footprint's the same, but the height, they're allowed to do that height,
Yeah.
is the problem.
Well, my feeling is that what is now is the carport. That's giving me privacy.
Right.
When they go up, that's right in my bedroom window. So,
Right.
and I'm going to lose, standard of living, light, all that kind of thing. So,
Sure, sure.
not very happy about that.
Like I said, unfortunately, they're allowed
Yeah.
to go up. And everybody is kind of close to each other down there. But we'll ask them these questions to see if they can resolve them for you. So, thank you very much. Yeah, please. They're the. Okay. Oh, they're the 2B windows up there.
That's a bed, I mean, so, quite frankly, the curtains are probably gonna be drawn just like the abutting neighbor's curtains are gonna be drawn.
Can you just speak into the mic? I'm sorry.
I said, that's a second floor bedroom, so those curtains will probably be drawn just like their neighbors will be drawn. And there are no windows on the first floor there. As far as that concrete pad in the rear is going to be completely removed.
I'm sorry?
That concrete pad.
Yep.
The neighbor asked about in the rear of the property.
Yep.
That's going to be removed.
Okay.
All the concrete in the back, including the walkway to the dock, is going to go away.
Oh, all that's gone.
Yep, all that's gone.
Okay. So in its place is the deck, essentially just for outdoor sitting and lawn.
It's going to be lawn.
And is that required per CRMC, or could they leave the concrete there if they wanted to?
I guess they could, but we're not going to.
You're not going to, okay.
I guess if anybody purchases it in the future, they could put something in. So yeah, you can see where the mechanical deck is, there's no windows on that whole second floor, but that whole side of it. So I think there's a master bedroom and then a master bathroom on that side, so there's no windows on that side, there's just the two-bedroom windows on the third floor.
And what about the mechanicals, though, in terms of their location? I mean, certainly there
Yes,
is,
if you look at so that's going to be, I mean, they're pretty beefy platforms. If you look at Jamie, if you want to look at maybe A1, if you could see, so yeah, right. No, I'm not sorry. I'm sorry. Go. Okay, yeah, can you zoom in on the mechanical platform? If you keep zooming in, that would be helpful. So you can see how I mean, we've got a swoop design, so I mean, it encloses the air handling units almost in its entirety.
so it's going to be shingled rail on the front, too? It's not an open rail?
No, that's going to be all shingled. It has to be open by code
Right.
on the top, but I mean, you can put rubber mats down and stuff to really, they make like platforms that go underneath these things to stop the vibrations and.
And serviceability, you'll have enough room on that platform to have the appropriate
I think by
access.
code, you need 4 feet so you can walk around them and service them.
Right. So they're going to be behind a structure, essentially, or behind a wall, not covered.
Solid wall on the
Right.
1, 2, 3 sides, and the top is open, and there's like a little architectural swoop detail there.
And why are you closing it in?
Not closing it in, you have to keep the top.
I know, but why are you closing it, or why are the sides shingled?
Just from an architectural standpoint, we don't want them just, it's a nicer look.
It's not gonna be the typical metal L brace with the open.
Yeah,
Will that help with sound, too? The surrounding? I mean, we did mention the decibels of these units. Wait, did you guys pick the units yet? Or do you use a typical unit,
Yeah, we use a typical unit,
like the Bosch or something like that, or the?
Carrier. They're very quiet. I have two at my house, and they're
Right,
newer ones are very quiet.
like underneath the bedroom window, kind of quiet?
The ones at my house are 20 years old. They're very loud. The ones at my old house are not very loud at all, but they're on the other side.
Right.
No, we haven't had any complaints with these. So.
These are air conditioning units?
Yep, the condenser unit, not the blower part, but they do have a fan on them.
Not
Yeah,
gonna-
all the heating systems are in the third floor attic space and the eaves.
So this is only going to be going during the summer.
Well,
When it-
being a heat pump, they could go into the winter a little bit too, right? Or a little, as it gets
Are
colder.
they heat pumps or not?
No, they're condensers, not,
Condensers
okay.
on
Okay.
there, yes. The heat is an interior unit.
If they were heat pumps, then they would be going 12 months out of the year.
Right, right.
They would just reverse polarity thing.
But they're just AC, so.
Yeah, I mean, in April, we heard that we wanted more parking, so we added kind of as much parking as we could. We heard kind of if people have jet skis, if people have boats, I mean, we wanted cars or boats or just areas that people can move these off of that busy road for safety purposes. So that's why we had as many parking spaces as we could.
There are 2 cars that are going to be inside,
Correct.
and you're going to have room for 4 cars outside?
Correct. I'm not saying you need all those, but there is room for.
So it depends on how many people are actually living there and using cars.
Correct.
That will be outside, and possibly an obstruction to 185.
It seems like the adjacent house does have the similar setback as to their parking
Right.
space.
Sorry, the air conditioning units, where they're located now, you can't access them from inside the house. It's strictly,
No, you cannot access those from inside.
so, is there any chance of moving them to the opposite side and doing the same thing but on the opposite side? Or would you have to redesign the whole HVAC to do,
So yeah, there would be
just as a.
some
concession to
redesign,
your-
yes.
As a concession to your neighbor if.
Yeah, so there's window considerations on that side.
I see the
There's a fireplace in the middle, so it would require some significant design.
Can they go down to ground level on either the other side or the back?
You can't put them on the ground level
you
with the
can't?
flood. I think everything has to be at 12 feet or, yes.
And the car issue was the other issue.
The car.
The car is too close to the road. So I guess those are the 3 things, that the concrete, the mechanicals, and the car is too close.
Yeah, the car's too close to the road, I think if you look at it, if you draw a straight line on that property to the west, her driveway is probably kind of a similar situation where it probably cuts through the middle of that car. 'Cause that's obviously not the property line.
Right.
I think if you put a car on that concrete pad, our site plan shows that the property line runs right through it. I think in the last meeting, I had a dimension for what, I thought it was 22 feet from the front of the garage to the front of Middlebridge Road. Even though the front of Middlebridge Road is not the property line.
Right.
Yeah, so that's 10 feet, so you're probably, yeah, it's probably 22 feet from the front of the house to Middlebridge Road. Paved, I wouldn't, so if you have a truck is 19 feet, so kind of the widest car you're gonna have is, it's not great, but it's the best we can
Sure.
kind of do for what we're up against.
Board members, any other questions? Any other follow-up that you wanted to do that?
No, just as before, I think, given the topography of the property, it's, in the surrounding area, we're certainly, I think the board pointed out last time that it's evolving neighborhood. There's been other growth and development along Middle Bridge there. I think I pointed out at the last meeting that there was an approval of a similar house with similar requested relief that was granted. And while you have to look at each application independently, I think this is, quite frankly, the way that whole neighborhood will be going over the next 15 years. You won't recognize that strip of land in 15 years from now.
And
This house alone is, I think we mentioned, it's going to be over $2 million, this house. It's just, the neighborhood's, it's going to be, it's a new neighborhood. It will be a new neighborhood. The property's so valuable there, and the houses, when people they're all knockdowns along that strip. And, it's going to be a nice home. It's probably going to be a second home for somebody that's going to live there perhaps 3 months out of the year. Probably, it'll be a summer home for somebody. From Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, that's probably what's going to happen.
Right.
No impact on the school system. It's a win-win for the town.
Did you also read the letter from Ms. Fitzpatrick as well? It was sent
Yeah.
on the 6th?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before you wrapped up, I wanted to make sure that we kind of read that into the record, just so we make sure we're addressing everything. So this is on October 6th. Regarding the public hearing for the location, they object to the granting of such a large and sweeping deviation and nonconformance to the area and from the town's zoning dimensional regulations. The request is for less than the required setback on a busy and curving street, which would create a dangerous condition for the local area. 25-foot setback is reasonable considering the area and sweep of the road, and such large deviation unnecessarily creates a dangerous condition. Also, the size of the property is grossly excessive for the lot and area, which is shown on the face of the application. Although the very large house, 1,900 square feet, is allowed, the applicant is still trying to exceed the maximum by over approximately 25%, which would be 2,375. However, the request is even greater than the 25% deviation and should not be allowed. There seems to be no unusual presenting conditions such as an unusual plot size, shape, circumstance, or any other condition presenting that would require such deviation from the town's standards. It appears the applicant simply does not want to conform to the zoning guidelines that were thoughtfully prepared for the area. The applicant knew or should have known all of the zoning requirements prior to purchasing the property. Therefore, I believe the application for the dimensional variance should be rejected in whole and the builder be required to conform to existing laws and regulations of the neighborhood. Thank you for your courtesies. You may reach out for any questions, and this is Joanne Fitzpatrick. Is there anything in this letter that you want to sort of address specifically that we might not have?
In terms of the character of the neighborhood and the character of the property, unfortunately, it's a legal non-conforming property, and it does have a wetlands issue, so we're kind of getting forced into a smaller space than we might normally be able to work with. And as far as the character of the neighborhood, as I pointed out, there was I think in February of this year, there was a property on Cider Lane that was approved, and this board granted, 700 square feet of relief, and I think they gave him relief on the deck as well of 160 square feet. And I think the comment that I happened to watch that YouTube video of that particular meeting, and the board described the neighborhood as an evolving area with other structures of similar size, which is the truth. So while maybe perhaps the house right beside us doesn't match, or the house to the right of us doesn't match, they're going to be changing as well. And this neighborhood, these were all summer cottages with no insulation. They were just summer shacks. And now, the neighborhood's definitely changing, and I think this house is fitting in with the changes that have taken place over the last 4 or 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the last thing I'd like to mention is that, so I think we talked about there is an overall reduction in footprint, which that letter, I think, doesn't take into consideration, but also just to kind of piggyback off of what Jack's saying, is we're trying to create a home that's conducive for a family home. So whether it's a second home or whether it's a full-time resident, this is kind of a home that we've designed for modern family living. And really, the additional square footage is the product of going up. So that's the only thing I'd like to add.
So, okay, so if you were to build sort of in the footprint of your setbacks, right? And then
CRMC
combine,
wouldn't let us.
and then, well, and then combine to CRMC, you would probably be left with what, about a,
2 foot long, 2 foot depth house.
yeah, it looks about 12 feet wide.
Yeah.
Something like that. So why not shift the house 3 feet to the right, like to the east or southeast, to get to that other property line? Like,
From the 16 feet, go down to,
well, like you're, if you were to shift the, yeah, right. So move over that 4 feet and then you'd be 12 from both sides, or essentially about 12 with the mechanical considered. Or would that really kind of, what would that do? Let me have you answer that.
so the house to the right of us
Right.
is essentially right on the property line, kind of like the other one is. So it's kicking us closer to, and that house is probably, I don't know what it is, but it is right on the property line. So you're kicking us closer to the house to the right of us. So we're trying to get kind of in between and centered on the lot. So eventually that house to the right of us will go, hopefully centered on that lot.
Okay.
As you can see,
So you're
I've
gonna,
got infiltration trenches. I know I have 2 on the plan, but they might make the one on the right-hand side bigger to capture more water, and the one on the left might be smaller. We have the parking consideration on the left. Yeah, see how that trench is going to be a little bit smaller on the left-hand side. The right-hand side might be a bigger trench because you got more space for runoff on that side.
so you're saying that you were trying to sort of balance the house out relative to the 2 existing adjacent houses?
To the lot lines,
To the lot lines?
correct.
Okay. But you're 12 and 16.
Yeah, so I mean, we could move it over. We could split the difference, I guess, between the 2.
I mean, it
You'd be 14 and 14.
well,
I got no problem with that.
I mean, it would certainly, it would lessen the setback on the west side there a little bit, right? Right
You
direction.
go down to 1 foot.
Because right now, you're, you're asking for what, a 4-foot relief on that side?
3.8, 3.8, something like that.
3.3? So theoretically, you could eliminate that setback, like, then stay
Go
within
down to
the-
1.8.
Stay on either side, you can stay within the property line, like, stay within the side yard setbacks, technically. Because if you have 4 feet to the right,
This way, going to the right.
that, and you're only asking for 3.3, then technically,
3.8, yeah.
so, so technically.
You want to move it to
could.
the right, 3,
I mean, is that pushing you closer to the wetland at that point? Because that's a diagonal line there to the
it's a
wetland.
diagonal line. I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to, there is a diagonal line there.
Right, so
I'd have to look at.
instead of 41.8,
By kicking it to the right, you might push us more into that square footage number.
2 instead of 41.8.
I might be 100 square feet in the CRMC
Oh, there's
setback.
that too. Okay.
Correct.
Just by doing, it would increase it because the line's on an
But,
angle.
yeah, the
so
line's
if
on
you
an
move to
angle.
the right,
Yeah, you're right.
it's going to increase the square footage of your house.
Into that 50 foot. Yeah. Otherwise, I would, yes, I would certainly consider that. But
And sizing wise, I mean, is the house is sort of thoughtfully sized in its configuration of
Correct.
room sizes and so forth. I mean,
The bedrooms we reduced the size of the bedrooms actually, I think we came off about 400 square feet overall from the first design of interior space.
okay. Okay, thank you. Board members, any other questions, comments, thoughts?
Anybody else out there?
Yep. I just want to make sure we're done with this.
Yeah.
Does anybody else out there want to talk on behalf? Not you. Not yet. Unless we need to. Hmm? Correct. Theoretically, it's a new application, but yes. Mhm.
Yep, that's correct.
Yep. Pretty much. Any other thoughts? Questions? Okay. Anything else to add? Good? Okay. Any other discussion?
As I remember, the first time, when you came here in April, the house was right on Middlebridge, right? And then we asked you to move it off of Middlebridge, and you did. How much did you move it off of Middlebridge at that point?
So the first application, we had a 0-foot setback. And really what that was made up of was we had a porch with a switchback staircase that came down, which put us right on the property line. So we did two things. We pushed the main structure of the house back, and we eliminated the front porch and the switchback stairs. So that pushed us from 0 to 20 feet 1 inches off of
How much?
20 feet 1 inches off of the property line. So that's what we went to CRMC with, and they said, nope, you're too close. So now we're trying to find the middle ground here.
Now we're at what, 10.8?
10.8 is where the proposed would sit, correct?
Yeah.
Which would require relief of 14 feet.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Pelcier, what are you thinking?
I wasn't here for the first go-around in the other iterations, but I mean, it doesn't seem like it's getting any closer than the original structure that's currently there.
Right.
And it seems as though the house, by removing the garage and having the parking, is getting further away from the property line. Yeah, it seems to make sense.
Ms. Hicks? Yeah, what are your thoughts? I mean, do you, yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, do you think it's reasonable, or? Right. Fair. Mr. Daniels? Rosen?
I agree with what my colleagues talked about, so. Yeah, I'm sympathetic to the neighbors who have lived there a number of years, I'm sure, and see lots and lots of houses going up that are much, much larger than theirs. But there's a lot of small houses there that have been there for years and years and years, and probably most of them are going to be replaced at some point in the future.
Yep.
This is the beginning of the changes that are going to happen.
Yeah. It's really astounding to me, I mean, and I'm sort of looking at the street view and going around the corner several times. It's just astounding to think that the building that they're putting in is in fact a smaller footprint. It doesn't seem like it, you know, based on the scale of the one-story house that's there, and the volume is just getting bigger because it's getting taller. But I just don't think it's necessarily creating any more of a impediment to egress, you know, on the street, or I think it definitely is changing the character of the neighborhood, but I think that's, you'll say, that's kind of inevitable. I think on paper, it sounds worse than actually it fits on the site. So, yeah, I don't necessarily have an issue with it as proposed. So, does someone want to make a motion, or? I don't know if I have all the notes necessary.
I made the original motion in May. I didn't get all the names of the people who spoke, so I'm going to ask them again.
Sure, who do you need?
I need the woman who spoke. What was her name?
I'm sorry, what was your name again? Daly, okay, Ms. Daly.
Daly.
Yes.
What's the first name?
Lauren? Lauren Daly.
Lauren. And David Whitley, correct?
Whitney. Like the museum.
Whitney, okay. And, okay, motion to approve the petition as read into the agenda by the chairman for Davit Design at 4 Frank Avenue, West Kingston, Rhode Island, seeking a dimensional variance. David Whitney spoke on behalf of the petitioner and was represented by his lawyer as well. In opposition was Lauren Daly, and there was a letter written in from, what was her name again, Fitzpatrick? As such, she didn't speak at the hearing. She wrote a letter, as I said. So as a consequence, I'm move the motion to approve the petition of Davit Design, and the board finds that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land and the structure, and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area. Characteristics of this property are certainly in dispute here, but as stated by Mr. Whitney, the footprint for the present house that's there, which is much, much smaller, and the proposed structure are essentially going to be the same, if not slightly smaller. And the general characteristics for the surrounding area, as I've already said, is changing, and there are a number of smaller houses there. But I drove by there the other day, and I was actually surprised to see that the house that is to the west, which has been described as number 185, was much, much larger than the first time I had been, or in my view at least, and my memory was much larger than I expected. So I was thinking that the structure that's going up and the structure that's to the west were going to be somewhat comparable, but certainly very, very close to each other as such. The structure to the east is much, much smaller, and I would predict that in the future it would probably be changing as well. And it's not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant as well. The board finds that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize greater financial gain. As a matter of fact, he's been here 3 times already, which is, one could say, is putting some sort of a financial burden upon him, as well as the fact that CRMC originally denied, in essence, our approval of the property in May. And so there has been some talk with CRMC, and the changes that have been made are mainly as a result of CRMC asking that the property or the house to be moved further away from the wet river that runs through there. The board finds that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan upon which the ordinance is based. And it's not really going to change the character of the area from the point of view of the footprint that is presently there. It's just going to make things a little bit more futuristic looking, I would say, as there are a number of houses in that area that are moving up rather than moving outward as such. The board finds that the relief to be granted is the least relief necessary. Originally, they had proposed approximately 400 extra square feet, and now they've dropped it down to half of what the 1,900 square feet should be as the ordinance reads. The board finds that the hardship suffered by the owner of the subject property, if the dimensional variance is not granted, amounts to more than a mere inconvenience. Frankly, from my point of view, I don't think that they should be forced to come back again as such. And so I would move approval of this petition.
And the only thing we can note, please, is conditional.
Oh, and it's conditional upon the final approval by CRMC.
Mr. Rosen. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Pelcier. Any other discussion? Mr. Rosen?
Aye.
Mr. Pelcier? Aye. Mr. Daniels? Aye. Ms. Hicks?
Aye.
Mr. Cagnetta? Aye. Motion passes. Good luck. Thank you.
And don't come back.
So let's check, well, first we have the September 20th, 2023 Zoning Board of Review minutes. Anybody have any changes or alterations to those minutes? All in favor of their approval?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No vote. I wasn't here. Okay. We only need 4. Attendance for next month, week before Thanksgiving. Everyone will be here? Yeah. For all we know? Okay. Ms. Goins?
So we have 2 meetings left this year, and then things will change a bit with the new laws coming up.
Right.
So our docket for November will include the appeal hearing
Correct.
and a couple other applications.
3 total, and 4 including the appeal.
Okay. And we won't know what's on December until sometime in November, mid-November. December's not a great time to do a little refresher, but I probably would like to do a little refresher if it's okay, assuming we have some time, just on, you know, we can pass out the new templates for the
Right.
new decisions, and you know, some of it, as we discussed a few months ago, you may be seeing a slightly reduced volume. From time to time, you do see applications that also come before the planning board, but, you know, I'm thinking about it, and the planning board, South Kingstown seems to me to get a lot of comprehensive permit requests where they can already ask the planning board for zoning relief. So it may not have that big of an impact shifting things away from your docket, but time will tell. The big thing is we're gonna have to get used to the new templates with the new standards for variances. And I believe the council will be considering, changes to the zoning ordinance to reflect the new, laws that will be taking effect. And part of that will likely include changes to the table of uses. So one of the requirements of the law is that we adopt specific and objective criteria for all the uses we designate as permitted by special use permit. And the state has said, you know, we can't just do the general consistent with the comprehensive plan. So in reviewing the use table, the planning board and ultimately the council may be changing some of those S's to either yes, permitted by right, or no, not permitted, and you need a use variance. The ones that will stay special use permit, we do have, there's a number for which we already do have specific and objective criteria. Like I think one on next month's agenda relates to special use permit for occupancy by more than 3 unrelated persons, and you'll see the ordinance has a very nice list of criteria. We just have to ensure we have criteria to match up with each S in the use table. So I guess my point is, just as you know, changes are afoot with the zoning ordinance.
So would that mean that decisions relative to a special use request have to be, like, in our opinion, or we should state how it meets those?
I don't think we'll be doing anything differently, but I think the difference will be Section 907 currently sets forth general criteria for the issuance of any special use permit, and then we also apply specific criteria where it's listed in the zoning ordinance. We may be adopting additional specific criteria for uses for which we don't currently have them, or some of the S's in the use table might be changing to a different letter. But I don't think anything about, it won't really change how we operate. We'll still be looking at a list of criteria and weighing the evidence against the criteria.
So would it be in the agenda, like, would it sort of be stated differently in the agenda to say this is a special use permit and they're asking for this special use specific?
I don't think the agenda language is really gonna change. I think what it is, it may be that 907 as the blanket, you know, here's the general criteria, that may be replaced by specific criteria for each use.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. And then the whole financial gain is gone, right?
And least relief necessary. And more than a mere inconvenience has been, the definition has been, you could say, tweaked, clarified, it's been revised. So you'll be getting, we'll make sure to get you all those new documents in December. I think I owe you a revised set of bylaws as well, and I think I'm gonna give you everything in December for holiday reading and homework.
Time. Oh, the financial, yeah.
One quick question with respect to Cottrell Homestead.
Yeah.
What are we going to be considering there?
So,
Denial or?
and I'm gonna repeat this, because I don't know who's gonna be here next month, but not specifically on Cottrell, but with any notice of violation that's being appealed to you, you're just, you're being asked to review the decision of the zoning official, whether the notice of violation was validly issued or not. You're not being asked to be a court. Your decision may be reviewed by a court. You're really being asked to look at the zoning ordinance, look at the notice of violation, and, you know, consider whether the zoning official had enough evidence, was it correct to send a notice of violation. So again, I'll repeat this, and I don't want to get into any specifics, but that's what you're being asked to do. You're effectively stepping into the shoes of the zoning official when an NOV appeal comes to your desk.
So their reasoning as to why they say it's okay or not isn't relevant, per se. Like, so they're gonna use every reason why they say they should be able to, but that's not necessarily for us to judge.
You can consider all of it. You're not really issuing a declaratory judgment. You're not, again, let me hold off on
I know, I don't
further
wanna get into the
explanation.
particulars, but
Yeah.
just to help them sort of understand that it's more of, was it the right call?
Yeah, there's no, it's not like variances and special use permits where the law lays out a defined standard. You're really reviewing the zoning official's decision.
Right. Wow. That must really kind of dig a little bit.
I did have one question. So some of the changes that were maybe effective on the 1st, is one of them relative? So currently, if there's a use that doesn't fit within the use code or closely resemble, right now, I would have to deny that and maybe appeal it, but the changes would allow it outright? If there's,
Yeah, I think our ordinance, unlike some, don't we have a provision where you can determine whether a proposed use is substantially similar? See, some communities don't have a provision like that at all. If there's a use that can't be placed within a box or line on the use table, it's categorically not allowed, and you'd have to amend the zoning ordinance to allow it. The state made, in 2022, they adopted legislation that made that procedure for presenting a proposed use, saying it's kind of like something that you already have in your use table. They made that an optional procedure. In 2023, they went a step further and made it mandatory, effective January 2024. So I need to review that existing, the procedure we already have. We may not need to change it, but we may need to change it. So I think the community can decide whether you, as the zoning board, should be making that determination, or whether the zoning official on his own can say, you know, this isn't exactly like something in the use table, but it's close enough that I can send it to the board as